Hi, thank you so much for joining me here today for another Facebook Live. I'm Dr. Alexis Conason. I am a clinical psychologist. I am in private practice here in New York City, and I'm also the founder of the Anti-Diet Plan. And the Anti-Diet Plan is a mindfulness and compassion-based program to help you get off the dieting, overeating, self-hatred roller coaster that so many of us find ourselves on, and really learn how to eat in a more peaceful, joyful, and harmonious way with our body. So if you're interested in learning more about my program, the Anti-Diet Plan, you can head over to my website. That's www.drconason.com, and you can sign up for my free 30-day starter course. It's completely free. You'll receive one email a week for 4 weeks, along with homework assignments and practices and different things to help you start eating mindfully and start really fundamentally changing your relationship with food and your relationship with your body and your relationship with yourself. Because, our body is such a core and central part of who we are and how we care for and nurture ourselves. So I hope you'll check that out. I'm also knee-deep in content creation for a much more in-depth the Anti-Diet Plan course that I'm hoping to launch this fall. So if you sign up for my newsletter, you will be one of the first to know when that course goes live and when it's going to be offered, when that card opens, and I'll be having a special discount and some special bonus offers just for my list. So I hope you'll join me there too. There's some really exciting stuff that I'm working on. And if there's things that you want to hear about, please let me know. So today we're going to be talking about can I be body positive if I still want to change my body? And this is something I think that a lot of us grapple with, because we hear about the body positivity movement, and a lot of us don't even really understand what the body positivity movement is or what it means, because I think that the form that it's taken on today is very different than the original kind of intention of the body positive movement, which really is an offshoot of the fat acceptance movement and other kinds of social justice movements that started, many, many decades ago, way before it was trendy to post, selfies on Instagram. There were people working to liberate people living in different types of bodies and to have body equality for all. So to kind of work against the oppression and the stigmatization and discrimination that so many people, especially in larger bodies, tend to face in our culture. And unfortunately, that's still something that goes on today. That's still something that is really prevalent. Fat phobia is running rampant in our culture. So even though we have body positivity is taking on more of a notable role in the mainstream culture, and I think that's amazing, there's still a lot of fat phobia. And it's really hard to understand how those two things are happening simultaneously, because I think that fat acceptance it's intrinsically linked with body acceptance. Like, how can we say that we want freedom and acceptance and respect for some bodies but still denigrate other bodies? It just doesn't make sense for me. I think that if we want to truly have body love and body freedom, we have to really want that for everyone. We can't pick and choose. And so body positivity, I think, as many of us see it today, is a movement that kind of is showing embrace. Like, if you Google, I actually did this the other day, and I thought, oh my gosh, how far we have come from the original intent of the body positivity movement. So I searched on Instagram, I think, for hashtag BOPO, B-O-P-O, which is kind of the abbreviation for body positive. And oh my gosh, the kinds of things that I saw that were so not body positive. I think there's a lot of images of women, cisgendered women who pretty closely approximate the body, the traditional beauty ideal in our culture, posting things online, showing their perceived flaws. And that's what body positivity is. That's what it's become. So, and I don't want to dismiss that, because I think that those things have a really important role, especially celebrities like Demi Lovato and some other celebrities have done a lot of work trying to really bring attention to call out the fact that like the beauty ideals in our culture are completely ridiculous. And, even the celebrities, even the people that we put on a pedestal to try to elevate and say that this is what we should look like, they don't even look like that, because there's so much photoshopping and airbrushing going on. So I think that women showing pictures of their cellulite or stretch marks or anything like that, like that's all heading in the right direction. But I think we have to have, it has to go so much further than that. Okay, so what is body positivity? Because I don't think it's kind of this watered down version that we're seeing on social media, and I certainly don't think it's the watered down version that we're seeing in the mainstream media. It's not like Amy Schumer's, what's that new movie that just came out where she gets hit in the head and all of a sudden she thinks she's beautiful, and it's like the punchline of the movie seems to be that she's fat, but if we can just accept ourselves within, then everything will be okay, and we can be body positive and live happily ever after, and feel great about our bodies. That's not what body positivity is about. First of all, Amy Schumer is like a size 6, so I think the fact that she is represented as a fat woman in our culture and in our movies, in this movie, in and of itself is a completely destructive, it just makes no sense. She's not a fat woman. And she said that, not because she thinks it's a bad thing to be a fat woman, but it's just like a fact. She's a size 6. She's not even, in plus sizes. So anyways, I don't want to digress too much because I could talk about that for a while, but I think what we see in the media is really like this watered down version of body positivity. And it makes us think that body positivity is about still maintaining to this traditional beauty ideal and loving our body all the time, right? So we think body positivity, it means that we have to feel positive and good about our body all the time. I think another misconception of the body positive movement is that it means that we don't change our body. That I was interviewed for a magazine article, and one of the questions that I was asked was, can people be body positive if they still want to exercise? I'm like, where did this come from? This idea that we can't be body positive if we want to, engage in some kind of movement? Because to me, caring for our bodies, and for many of us that is through some sort of physical activity, like joyful physical activity, enjoyable, pleasurable, fun movement, is an essential piece of body positivity. Like it goes hand in hand, but there's this misconception that body positivity means that we have to feel good about our body right now, and we have to feel good about our body all the time, and we can't do anything different, and we can't possibly want to change our bodies, okay? So I want to break some of those misconceptions right now. It is totally normal to have thoughts about wanting to change your body. If you are trying to, if you're in the body positivity or intuitive eating or health at every size movements, and you are still struggling with thoughts about wanting to lose weight or not liking the way that your body looks, not feeling good in your body, you still feel in conflict with your body, this is totally normal. We have been indoctrinated from such a young age to hate our bodies. It's really, really hard work to start to embrace our bodies and to accept our bodies and to feel positively about our bodies. I mean, I don't know hardly anyone who feels good and positive about their body 24/7. There are always times that we don't feel good about our body. The question here is, what are those thoughts really about, right? So my answer to the question that I pose in the title of this talk, of this Facebook Live, which is, can I be body positive and still want to change my body, is absolutely yes. Like, absolutely. We can be body positive and still want to change our body. We can be body positive and still really not like our body. We can be body positive and even still want to lose weight. But that does not mean that the answer is to change our bodies. So I think the challenge here is to recognize these thoughts about wanting to change our body that have been, again, so deeply ingrained in our culture from, you know, for some of us, like almost practically since the day that we're born, right? What's the first thing that happens is, you know, you pop out of the womb and they put you on a scale. Kind of crazy. And then you go to the doctor's offices all through childhood, and you're weighed and measured and told whether or not your weight is good or bad. And many of us grew up in families that also promoted this idea that our weight was good or bad and we should be bigger or smaller, we're eating too much, too little. And it teaches us to mistrust our bodies. And then we're just inundated with the media telling us, you know, especially women, but men and women, but I think it disproportionately affects women, and it affects men and women differently, but the media telling us that we are not good enough. We get that image every which way we turn, you know, be smaller, take up less space, you know, change your body, focus all of our energy on being smaller and losing weight and having the ideal body. And, you know, even if the ideal shifts over time, right? So like we're seeing a lot, and this is something also that I think gets mistaken for body positivity. We see a lot of the messaging, strong is the new skinny, you know, fit is the new skinny. It's not about being thin anymore. It's about being strong. And we think this is an empowering message, but so often these messages are promoting the same unrealistic body ideals as the thin ideal. It's just, you know, like a thin woman with a six-pack. It's the same thing. But anyway, we're taught from such a young age that changing our body is the path to happiness, and that we can only, you know, have respect and be respected and be valued in our society if we can adhere to this very narrow beauty ideal. So of course, you want to change your body. This is what we've been taught, right? So one of the, you know, keys is like, can you have compassion for yourself for those thoughts, but also recognize that those thoughts are not the solution, that we can want to lose weight, we can notice those thoughts, we can accept those thoughts, and we can try to respond to our body in the here and now with a sense of acceptance and respect. And that to me is body positivity. Body positivity is not about liking your body. It's about accepting your body. It's about having respect for your body. And it's about opening up a space where all bodies are valued and respected, regardless of shape, size, color, ability. And, you know, I tend to not be a fan of like all or none thinking. And I spend a lot of my days with clients trying to tell people, you know, there's so much balance, there's so much gray area, it's not all or none. But I think with body positivity, in a certain way, it's all or none, that we have to embrace and recognize the value for respect all bodies. Otherwise, it's impossible to truly have body positivity and self-love for anybody. So in this sense, I do think it's all or none, in that, you know, everyone's along for the ride. We have to really open up a space and a dialogue where all bodies are valued and respected. And that includes fat bodies. That includes bodies that don't get around the way that we traditionally think that people should move. It includes bodies that don't look the way that we think they should look based on our very narrow visions of what we think bodies should look like and what we think they should do. So Fat phobia is like alive and real, and that is why I think that so many of us struggle with wanting to embrace body positivity and, saying like this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, obviously hating myself is not helping me. Hating myself is not making me lose weight, for one, and it's making me feel really miserable. So when I talk to people about body positivity, a lot of the response that I get is like, yeah, that rationally makes so much sense. I would totally want to get on board with that, but I hate my body right now. What can I do? So I think the key is learning that the reasons that we hate our bodies, not because your body's bad, it's not because your body's broken, and it's not because it's, failing to do what we want it to do. We hate our body because we've been taught to hate our bodies. And we've been taught to hate our bodies because we live in a culture that is invested in women hating themselves. Because when we spend all of our time and energy hating ourselves, we're not out there living our lives. We're not out there questioning the social and cultural norms that are, really kind of keeping us down in our culture. So there's, it's kind of scary to think about like what women would be doing if we weren't so busy and spending so much time hating ourselves and trying to change ourselves. And we can see, when we think about that, I think we can see why our culture is so invested in convincing us that the path to happiness is in weight loss and trying to shrink ourselves rather than allowing our voices to be heard. So, body positivity, again, I just want to emphasize, it's not about liking your body. It's about recognizing that the negative feelings that we have for our body and towards our body are not because our body's bad. It's because we've been taught that our body's bad. And the thoughts are completely normal to have, and it's completely normal to believe that the path to happiness is in weight loss, because like for many of us, that is all that we've been taught. Like that's all, the only message we've heard for so much of our lives. And how can we recognize, I think like really the key to body positivity is recognizing that our bodies are not bad, our bodies are not broken. We may not like them, we may still have a lot of conflicted feelings about them, but we can still accept them. And acceptance is not, again, acceptance is not about liking. Acceptance is about opening our eyes to the reality that right now, in this moment, this is the body that I'm living in. As much as we may want to change that, as much as we may feel betrayed by our bodies, as much as we may feel that our bodies are not the way we want them to be, and that we desperately want them to be different, and that they should be different, and that we can, we can imagine this kind of magical future where our lives will be perfect because we'll be a few pounds thinner. We can recognize all of that and still say, but here I am now, right? Like we can only be where we are right now. And acceptance is just that. It's not saying anything about the future. It's not saying that your body is going to always stay the same. Actually, like by definition, our bodies never stay the same. Our bodies are always changing because time is passing, cells regenerate, our body naturally changes weights as we go through different cycles of life. It's impossible for our bodies to stay the same. But acceptance is just about recognizing that right here, right now, this is the body that we're living in. And how can we care for ourselves in the most respectful, kind, and compassionate way that we can, even if we don't like our bodies, even if we want to change our bodies. So, I guess the 2 points I'm trying to make here are, one, recognizing that the, thoughts about wanting to lose weight or wanting to change your body are totally normal because we live in a culture that promotes that. But that doesn't mean that that's the answer, right? We can recognize those thoughts, and meditation, I really do think this is where mindfulness comes in, because it allows us to notice our thoughts without getting so lost in them. So intention is to kind of notice those thoughts, like, oh, like I'm being really hard on myself right now. I am having a tough body image day. I am really feeling lousy about my body. And how can I be kind to myself? How can I treat myself with compassion? Because those thoughts are thoughts that are a product of diet culture. And when we can recognize them as a product of diet culture and a product of a society that is heavily invested in having women hate themselves, we can start to recognize that the problem is not our body, the problem is our culture. And how can we just kind of notice those thoughts and allow them to be there without getting lost in it, without believing it as reality or as the truth? So, it's totally, I can't say it enough. It's totally normal to, have thoughts about wanting to lose weight and wanting to change your body. The key is to recognize those thoughts as not the problem, but those thoughts are the kind of, implanted remnants of a system that is not working for us anymore. So can we, just kind of notice those thoughts, allow them to be, but not see them as the truth, not see them as the path of enlightenment, right? We can say, yes, I'm having thoughts about wanting to lose weight, and there's diet culture sneaking up in my brain again. Because of course it is, that's all we've known. But we're learning a different way to care for ourselves right now. So we're also thinking about how can I kind of allow those thoughts to be, perhaps shifting them into the background of our minds, and recognizing the value of the body that we're currently in, because we can't be in any body other than the body we currently in. So we might as well try to care for ourselves with as much kindness and compassion as we possibly can. And that, to me, is body positivity. It is about respect, compassion, and acceptance for all bodies. And I really think that, part of body positivity, and this is what kind of irks me about where body positivity has gone in our current mainstream, the mainstream kind of watered down version of it, is that it has lost its roots. And its roots are fat acceptance and fat liberation. Because if we say that we can have body positivity for some people, and that it's okay for, women who look like Demi Lovato, or women even who look like Amy Schumer, or women who look like, pretty darn close to what we think, a beautiful woman should look like. But body positivity is not okay for people who are living in larger bodies. Body positivity is not okay for women who might have a BMI or fall into like a higher weight category. I'm thinking right now about the recent Self magazine cover. Is that something that I don't know if anybody's seen that, but Self magazine, I talked a little bit about it last week because I'm just like so excited that this is happening. They published an electronic, they're all electronic now, but they publish a digital version of their magazine, and it's called The Weight Issue, and it's all about like how health is actually not really related to our weight, and that we can be healthy at a diverse range of health, different shapes and sizes, and our health is nobody else's business. That, we deserve compassion and respect, and to not be abused and harassed when we walk down the street, no matter what our health is. Like, we don't see somebody walking down the street in a thin body who is, using some kind of mobility aid and like yell at them for not being healthy enough. But a fat woman's walking down the street and she is likely abused and harassed. So on the cover of Self magazine is a beautiful, I think, photograph of Tess Holliday. I know people have different opinions about, some of the more controversial things that she said, but I think that fact that someone, I do think that regardless of what she says, she is a beautiful woman, and that she is playing a really important role in this movement. And to read the comments the abuse. She's gotten, I believe, death threats resulting from this magazine article. So I think if you feel that your body, that you want to be body positive, but you can't accept fat people in this world, it's a lost cause, because fat phobia is what fuels self-hatred at any size, right? If we're terrified of being fat because being fat is such a bad, scary thing, then how are we ever going to accept ourselves? Because we're going to live in fear of being fat, and we are going to feed into our culture's demands that we spend all of our time and energy trying to avoid gaining weight and to try to make ourselves as small as possible and not trust our bodies. So fat phobia really, affects people all across the weight spectrum. Obviously, it mostly affects people who are actually fat because they live with constant discrimination, bias, and abuse, but it's affecting all of us. So I think that, in order to truly be body positive, we really have to think about how we can work to dismantle fat phobia and weight-based depression and discrimination, and see that as the problem, right? Not our bodies. So again, in closing, I'm just going to say, yes, you can absolutely 100% be body positive and still want to change your body. You can definitely be body positive and even still want to lose weight. These are very normal thoughts and beliefs that have been ingrained by diet culture. However, the answer is not to lose weight. The answer is not to change your body intentionally. The answer is to recognize that these thoughts of hating ourselves have been implanted by a culture that is invested in keeping us focused on changing ourselves, and to work towards a stance of respect, compassion, and acceptance for all bodies, and that is body positivity. So we are just about out of time for today, but I want to thank everybody for joining me on Facebook Live. I know some of you are watching live, some of you may be watching on the replay. If you are interested in learning more about me and the Anti-Diet Plan and my free 30-day intro course that's going to help you get started eating more mindfully and help, give you a head start in developing a more peaceful, compassionate relationship with yourself and with your body, head over to my website, drconneson.com, and you can sign up for my free intro course. And if you want to dive even deeper, definitely make sure you're on my newsletter list, because as I said at the beginning, I am like knee deep in content creation for a brand new online course that I'm super excited about. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it's going to be launching in fall. It's going to launch exclusively to my list members, and you are going to get some special bonuses and offers and discounts. So, you're my people, so I want to make sure that I'm taking care of you guys first. And I'm just super excited about this new project. So I hope you'll join me on that. And I hope you'll join me next week. I'll be back here Wednesdays, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time each week. If there's something you want to hear about, please drop me a note. You can email me, info@drconneson.com. You can check me out on social media. I'm on Instagram at the Anti-Diet Plan, on Facebook. You probably have the link right here if you're watching it. Alexis Conneson, Psy.D, and on Twitter at Conneson Psy.D. And you can also email us, did I say that? info@drconneson.com. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope to see you again next week. Take care.